This is Graham from .easy coming back to you with another video. With the weather being so nice and the fact that I've been to a couple weddings so far this summer and there's a couple more I've got coming up, we're going to be showing you how to make a wedding video using WordPress. And this is going to help you set up your website to make it look very nice, very efficient, keep the cost low, and make it simple. And also not very time consuming because we know how busy you are with planning your wedding. Now, for those of you who are thinking of ideas for maybe even a gift for the wedding, this could even be your idea for it. Now, for those of you who are using the .easy services, any of our paid plans like the unlimited hosting, which is under promotion right now, we'll have WordPress quick installer for it, which we're going to be using to show you how quick and easy it is to install it for you. So we're going to start off here like we usually do for those of you who have watched our previous videos in the past as to how to install WordPress. It's very simple. All you need to do is log into your account with us, go into the site administrator panel, and there you'll find Softaculous. Softaculous is a quick script installer. It has more than 250 scripts in it right now. WordPress being one of the more popular ones is actually #1 in the download list. So we're going to start off here by going to WordPress from the list, clicking on where it says install. And as you can see here, we're just going to the actual installation wizard. You can ask us for a couple things to set up. We're just going to quickly go over them. It is very short and very simple. First one where it says choose protocol, you want to leave this as just HTTP. You don't need to set anything up special for this. Where it says choose domain, you want to make sure your domain is showing there. For those of you who have more than one domain set up because you're either on our cloud hosting service or you have a bunch of add-on domains on your hosting plan, you're going to see them showing up on the list here. You can select whichever one you want to actually install this WordPress site to. In this case, we've only got the one, so we're going to select that one. The in directory is very, very important. What this does is this chooses where on your server the actual files are going to be installed to. Now for WordPress, this is very important because it will have them installed to a certain place and actually show up by default in the address bar at that location. So for the example here, we have sampledomain.net. This is going to show up as sampledomain.net/WP because we have WP set up here. Now, in this case, we're going to actually leave that blank because we want this to be just showing up at sampledomain.net. Now, for those of you who have more than one site or you're planning to set up this alongside your regular site, you may want to have a folder name. You can always go into WordPress later on and change it so that it is installed from a folder somewhere and doesn't show it in the name. And we'll explain that a little later on. But for this case here, it is your personal choice how you want it to show up. Now for the database name, you want to leave this blank unless you've got more than one installation or more databases set up. Then you may want to call it wedding or WP wedding, something like that, so that you can remember which one it is. In this case, we're going to leave it as just the default name. Same with table prefix, we're just going to leave that by itself. If you're very comfortable with working with databases, you may have a particular prefix you want to use. You're more than welcome to change that. Otherwise, you can leave it exactly where it is without any issues. Now, the next thing we're going to be doing is the site settings. These can be changed within WordPress, so they're not etched in stone, so don't worry if you don't like what you put later on. This one here, for where it says site name, we're just going to be typing in wedding site, so nothing fancy. We can always change it later. I'm going to be saying WordPress wedding site as the site description. The enable multi-site, you do not want to check mark unless you're very familiar with this feature. We suggest to stay away from it because it does definitely overcomplicate things. Where it says admin username, you're more than welcome to set up whatever you want. We would highly suggest staying away from the word admin because it is overly used and a lot of hackers will try it to get into your site using it. So it's better and more secure if you set it up to something else. In this case, we're going to keep it as something easy just because we're showing you a demo of it. We do, of course, always change passwords constantly and usernames, and we do set them to something complex. So in this case, we're just trying to show you how easy it is to set it up. So we're not going to worry about it too much. As you can see here, we're setting up a password. For passwords, stronger is definitely better, but it could end up being harder to remember. You want to make sure that it is at least 55 strength just to keep it on the secure side. Again, using numbers, letters, capital and lowercase as well. Definitely a good way to make sure that nobody can get access to your site. Where it says choose language, we're going to leave this as English. You can set it up as whatever you want. And where it says admin email address here, it's going to show something by default. You can modify this later in WordPress as well. What this is used for is this is used for sending notifications to you. It is also used to send a password login recovery if you ever lose your password for WordPress. So it is important, not so much for the initial setup, but it is something that you will use later on. You can always log in and change it as well later on, so not to worry with it. Now for plugins here, you can set up to limit the login attempts. What this does is this will set up a plugin, it will activate it for you, so that when someone tries to break into your WordPress account, this is going to stop them from doing it. For every failed login, it's going to give them a kick off the server so that they can't get back in for a certain amount of time and eventually block them out. Now we do of course have different security features set up on our server, which our administrators of course watch and help to handle to help protect your site. So this is something more of an icing on the cake to help protect it even more so than we already do so. It is a good idea to set up security mechanisms and keep things secure, because WordPress unfortunately is quite often targeted by people, but it is very secure, and we do make sure to make so for you, so you don't need to worry about it that much. Now you can go to where it says install, but there's one last thing we'd like to show you first, which is where it says email installation details too. Now what this does is this actually controls where the rest of this information and details are sent to. Normally it doesn't send it anywhere, but if you put in your address, it can actually email it all to you. So for those of you who like to keep records or just want to have it in writing, make sure you put your address in here first, and then click on where it says install when you're ready. So we're going to go ahead and click on that now. So you can see here it starts creating the process. It actually takes care of all of it for us, and very quickly. So we can see it's already done. Now it's going to give you two different setup links that are very, very important. The first one is actually your domain itself. So wherever you told it to set up WordPress. If you click on that link, it's going to show you what it actually looks like, which in this case is not going to be a lot. This is the default WordPress setup. It's got nothing really special, nothing that hard to set up, and really we're going to be changing a lot of it. So don't even worry about what it's set up to look like right now. The other one here, the administrative URL, is extremely important. This is the most common place you're going to find yourself on WordPress. It is where all the magic happens. This is where you can edit your site, make pages, make posts, upload images, make anything you want happen. So you do want to either bookmark this page or do get familiar with typing it in, you can go there. So we're just going to go ahead and pull this up. And this is going to bring you to the login page. It's going to ask you to type in the login information you just set up and then log into your account. Once you're in, you want to just make sure you familiarize yourself with a little bit if you've never used WordPress before. This is what's referred to as the dashboard, and where you make all your actual changes. So when you log into your dashboard, it first of all is going to come in and tell you just really any activity that's gone on the site, as well as an update section, so that if there's any security updates or anything like that, you're going to make sure you're aware of them so that you can get them done. Now you can see here there's a bunch of options along the side menu. These are the default ones that WordPress does. Not a lot to really work with right now, but this is where kind of the major sets are done. You can start modifying settings or setting up things if you want to. Now there are things to keep in mind and some key points which we're going to go through first. The main thing is under appearance. You'll see a section called themes. A theme can be thought of as the layout of the site. So right now you can see where it says 2012, which is the default layout. So we're going to be setting up our own theme, which is going to help you get your wedding site looking really nice. So we're going to be installing a theme. As you can see, there's an option for it. The other thing here is called the plugins. Now these are additional things you can set up on your account, which can be thought of as like, we're going to be setting up an RSVP one. We're going to be setting one up to simplify WordPress even more for you. You can think of this as calendars, contact forms. There's a lot of them out there. They can do various things. They can really make your website a lot easier, a lot simpler, and nicer to look at all around. Now you can see that there's a couple of them already set up by default. So you can see there's Ask Command, Hello Dolly, and the limited temps. These are different things that are set up just there. You can choose to activate them or deactivate them. They do have their own purposes. So what we're going to be doing from this point on, because this is where it can be a little more cumbersome if you've never touched it before, is we're going to be starting out by setting up the theme. The theme, as we mentioned before, can be set up as the layout. The layout controls how your site looks, how it acts, and that's why I personally always will start out with the theme, because this is where I generally invest a lot of my time when designing a site. The theme being the layout is something you're not really going to change that much later on, so you want to try and find a theme that's really easy to use. If you're not sure where to find a theme, you can either do a Google search for this, do be careful for this because you may find some themes that are either paid to use, or there's other ones that may be not as secure or may even be malicious. So we generally would recommend either by going to WordPress.org, which they created WordPress. They do show a bunch of themes that they have confirmed that these are okay themes. They do work with the software. The other place we suggest to look for is the site that we've actually set up to help people who are using WordPress, which is actually wordpress.easy.com. So if you go here, you're going to actually see the site that we've actually got set up. We've actually got a theme already selected in this case. As you can see, it's Kudazi Mono. Is actually the one. It's mainly meant for pictures in this case, but because a wedding site is mainly made up of pictures, we're going to be using this one. It does offer a lot of customization to it, which is why we thought it was perfect for making the site. Additionally, it is free, so those of you who are using the wedding and actually planning for it, you've definitely got your costs already up there, so that's something that's nice and easy to add on. A icing on the cake. You can definitely see a demo of it as well as download the theme. Now, if you're using a separate theme, from this point on, you may see things happen a little differently. Most of the settings and different things we'll be setting up will be very, very similar and very familiar, but they may differ a bit depending on how your theme is set up. Now, Kudazi Mono, the reason why we're recommending this is two reasons, namely. Number one, it is a free theme, so that's definitely a plus. Number two is that when you actually download the theme, it gives you a zip file. That zip file actually has a whole bunch of files inside of it that are things like walkthroughs, guides on how to set up certain things, including there is an actual documentary which we've kind of shown here to highlight for you, which has where to start off in different things. So because it is very well documented, we thought it was a good one to show you, because you may not have the most time to set it up because you are planning your wedding, and you may not be that well versed in WordPress or even setting up certain things. So we did set it up with this in mind. Now, we have got a bunch of plugins as well selected. We're going to be showing those a bit later, but we want to first of all show you how to set up the theme. So the first thing we're going to do here is we're going to go to where it says Appearance, and then this will default us to the themes by default. We're going to go to where it says Install Themes at the top, and then you can either do one of two things from here. If you've already downloaded it from the page we've shown, then we can go to simply upload themes, which we're going to cover in a second. Otherwise, for those of you who are not really sure and maybe still wanting to look around, you can use the actual WordPress search feature here with a bunch of different options, and this will allow you to go ahead and install WordPress within itself from the themes. You can select them, it'll show you pictures. Because we've already downloaded this and set it up, we're just going to go to the upload section here, which generally when you're using a theme, you can be finding it from someplace outside and doing it this way. So we click on where it says browse, and we can see we've already put the zip file on here. Now those of you who downloaded the actual zip file from the site are going to notice that it had a different name than this one. As we mentioned before, the one from the site actually had a whole bunch of content in it. So if you unzip that folder, you'll find that this is one of the contents in there called mono.zip, and you want to select this one. When you select it, you're going to see it show on the list here and click on where it says Install Now. Once we've installed it, it's going to say here that it's installed successfully. Now there is one important thing to mention if you've never used WordPress before. WordPress doesn't actually activate content like plugins and themes because they do change WordPress and the way it's set up drastically. They don't activate it to make sure it may not cause any issues with it. So it is very, very important when setting it up to click on Activate. Because we're starting out with the theme, we know we can activate it without any worries whatsoever. So now we've got the theme set up, we can see it's got the picture here showing that it's a little different. And what we can do is we can actually go to our wedding site from this point here. So we can see here we're going to show you a couple different things. One of them is the actual site that we've set up, which you can see used to look like this. If we actually refresh the page, you're going to see what it looks like now. So you're going to see it's very bland. It has changed the settings around very differently from what it is, and it's more just a default layout. Now you may say that this doesn't really look like a wedding site right now, and you're absolutely right. This is very far from where we're going to be, but this is our cornerstone, our starting point. It is very important. Now what we're going to do is we've actually already set up a site, which is just an example of a quick one I threw together actually while I was thinking of ideas of the wedding ones that I was doing. This is one of the ones I happen to like. So this is just an example of kind of what it can look like. As you can see, there's a very nice picture in the background here. There's a bunch of slideshow pictures going across, which are just some pictures from the rehearsal. There's a section for our story where you can tell the story of what happened here. You can have someone leave a reply of how much they like your story. You can go ahead and select a blog, which is any post as you keep things updated, like rehearsal. In this case, the fun part, like the bachelor and bachelorette parties, lots of things like that. You can also go into gallery. There's a bunch of pre-wedding pictures, things like that. And then, of course, RSVP, so that instead of sending out a bunch of mail to get back, which sometimes they get lost in mail or they just may take forever, you can just have people actually come to your site and RSVP this way. It's a very simple and easy way to keep in touch and find out who's coming. You've also got a calendar at the bottom here. You've got our journey and just a little message saying, hey, thanks for showing here. We're glad you're taking interest in our site. So this is just an idea of what it's going to look like. This is actually very simple to set up. And I'm going to show you how you go from this all the way into this. Now you are, of course, free to make it more advanced, definitely go through and add more content. This is, like we said, more of just a demo and layout and things that we quickly set up, and you can definitely build upon it. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back into the dashboard here, which is where, again, all the magic happened. The next thing we're going to do now that we've got the actual theme set up is we're going to go into the plugins. Now, one thing just to mention first, of course, is you'll notice there's now a portfolio and a slides option here. When you install a theme or you install plugins, you will see additional features added here, which is where you can go in and modify content for them. So we're going to go into the plugins next and get these out of the way because they are important as well. So we're going to go to where it says add new. Now for plugins, these typically you're not going to go and find online elsewhere. These ones generally you're going to easily find within WordPress by doing searches. You can definitely look these up online. We do have them showing on wordpress.easy.com. There's a section for plugins there. You can additionally go to wordpress.org and find a lot of plugins there as well. So very easy to find them. Or we've actually got a bunch that we've set up already. So we're just going to go ahead and set those up. Now, for those of you who have used jQuery before, set up websites using some JavaScript, they're going to be familiar with the term fancy box. For those of you who have never used a fancy box before and not sure of it, what it is whenever you click on an image on the site, it'll actually bring it up and highlight it for you. It'll allow people to scroll through images and things like that on different sections of the page. So this is a very nice touch for something that's detail oriented. So now we found in the list, there's some things you want to just keep in mind when looking for plugins, which is the rating system. This is people, how often they've used it or how much they like it. So something with more stars is definitely something you want to keep in mind or may want to use. Additionally, the version as well. The higher a version is, typically the more iterations it has, the more it's gone through, the more it's been actively used. So it is important and nice to keep in mind. So higher numbers may not always be better, but it does generally recommend that it is a better one. When you're ready to select the one to install, you want to click on where it says install now. It's going to give you a little prompt saying yes or no. We want to go ahead and click OK, and we know it's been installed now. It's going to give us the message. Now again, it doesn't activate it by default, so we want to click on where it says activate plugin. We're going to see it's in the list here now, and it is showing as activated. We're going to go ahead and set up the next one now. So we're going to go into here. The next one we're going to set up is called option tree. Now this one is very nice, a little difficult to use if you've never touched it before. What option tree does is it tries to simplify and give you a lot more settings within the theme option. We're going to show you how to set it up just because it does have a little tweak to it, but it is very, very nice and does simplify things. So we're going to activate that as well. And then the last one we're going to set up here is called RSVP, which of course is the one we showed you before on the main site to get people to RSVP to your wedding. So we're going to click install that, and we're going to activate that plugin. So now we've got them all activated on the site, which is nice. We know it's set up. We can see that RSVP is added an option here, as well as option tree is also added an option. So these are additional features that it's already set up, and we can see we're getting a whole bunch of customization options for the site now. You can see within WordPress it's starting to become a lot more full. It's going to have a lot more options. You can set up things very easily. Now the first thing we're going to do is we're going to show you how to set up option tree. This is a very powerful tool, and what it does is it basically opens up WordPress to make it easier for you to get access to all the features. Now when you start out with, you're going to see it really doesn't have a lot to it. It's got general, it's got sample text field. Now they actually do have a default version of it set up. It is a little odd to install if you've never used it before, so we're going to actually carefully go through and show you how to do this. So you want to first of all go to where it says import here. It's going to ask you to import a file, so we're going to click on where it says add XML. Now from here it's going to show you a very familiar screen of how to drag files over and install them. Now, before we actually go through and do this, we need to get the file. Now, you're probably asking yourself, well, you haven't told me where to get it yet, and it doesn't come with it by default. It actually does come with it by default, but OptionTree puts it in a folder in a funny place. So we're going to show you where to get it. We agree it's a little odd, but it is nice that they at least did include a setup. So we want to go back to the .exe control panel, which we would have had left over from where we installed WordPress. We're going to click on where it says Home at the top, and then we're going to go down under Files to where it says File Manager. Under the File Manager, you're going to see a whole bunch of content here. You want to look for the folder that says WP Content. Now, before, you may have set up, if you used Word, like a WP folder or something else, you need to go to that folder first. If you remember, we left ours blank so we can just see all these files here. So do keep that in mind. If you did install it to a folder, go to that folder name first, and then you'll see these as well. So we're going to go into WP Content, and then we actually need to go into where it says Themes, and then you want to go into where it says Mono, and here you're going to see the folder that says OptionTree. It is very important to go into this one. You'll see a file called themeoptions.xml. This is the one we're looking for, and it actually has all the customization already set up beautifully for us. So we're going to click on where it says Download File. You want to just click on where it says Save File and save it to your computer. Once you've got it saved to the computer, we're all set. We want to go back to our settings within WordPress, and we're going to go to where it says Select Files. We'll go to where it says Downloads in this case. You can see a lot of different content from our other videos we've been making for you. I'm going to go to where it says Theme Options. I'm going to click on where it says Open. It's going to tell you it's crunched it, it's uploaded it. Now there is one very important section as well. You need to click on where it says Send to OptionTree. This will actually import the settings straight into the file for us. So we're going to click on that option here. Now if you did this properly, you'll see it show up in the list here. So just make sure it is actually here. Once you're ready, you want to click on this button where it says Import XML. It's going to give you a yellow message at the top saying settings are imported. Now this, you're going to see a very drastic change. If you go back to where it says Theme Options UI, you're going to see a lot of this is already set up. Now this gives us a lot of customization. Just to give you an example now, if you go into where it says Appearance, you're going to see an option for Theme Option. And as you can see here, we now have a whole bunch of additional themes which are going to allow us to very easily set this up. So now that we've got this done, we're going to go through and change a couple of settings before we actually get into the pages, the posts, and sliders, just because these are really things you're going to be setting up once and not really touching again. So we're first of all going to go into where it says Settings, and under here we can see the site title and the tagline, so the description we set up earlier. We're also going to see where it says WordPress URL. This is where you actually install the files, so you generally do not ever want to touch this. If you're planning to move the site, either make sure you do go online to read thorough guides of how to do this, or contact us at .exe. We'd be more than happy to walk you through and show you how to do this. Where it says site URL, you're actually free to set this up however you want. So you can actually set this up so that it shows as sampledomain.net/wedding or something like that, just as an example. You can see the email address is here as well, so we can definitely go ahead and modify this. Where it says time zone, this is going to be affecting all the uploads, so anything like a post or anything like that. So you want to make sure to set this to your time zone. We're of course on the West Coast, we're going to select UTC 8. Where it says date format, you can change how it looks there, as well as the time format, whether you want it 24-hour clock or anything else, and which day the week starts on. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to save the changes after we've done that. And those are just some of the more basic changes here. Now that we've got that saved across, it's going to come up with a little message at the top saying its settings are saved, as you can see here. Next, we're going to go into the themes and start playing around with a couple of the options in here. So if we go into the theme options, we can see some of the options already set up. Now, where it says logo, this is where you can see there's a logo on the site. Right now it just says mono, so it's using the default image. We of course don't want to have that. We want to put our own image up there. So we've gone ahead and we've actually created one of these for it. So we've actually got a bunch of images already set up. So you're more than welcome to set up anything you want and use them. Now images generally do work best if you have them at a specific size. You're free to choose whatever ones you want. We've got one that we've already preloaded to the size we want to use. So we've got that set up. We can go ahead and you can select on which kind of size you want, whether you want it to be a thumbnail, whether you want it to be full size, medium, large, or anything like that. So you can go ahead and modify any of these settings you want. You can additionally modify it to send to OptionTree. We're not going to need to in this case. We're just going to leave it where it is. And then we're going to click on where it says Save Changes. and then we know what's added to our gallery. We can go ahead and send it to option tree, and then we're going to see it's in here. Now, the reason we saved it before sending it to option tree is just because I like adding things personally to the gallery so that I know they're there if I ever need to reference them again. If you don't like adding things to the gallery, you don't need to, don't worry about it. So once we've got that there, we can click on where it says save changes. And it's going to go ahead and save all the changes we did. We can select a URL so we can put in a different one. We can change this to anything we want. So we're going to select small in this case, and I'm going to click on where again it says save changes. So now we can see it says the changes are updated. So if we go to the site here, just quickly reload this, we can see it's actually changed the image over to the one we wanted. So you can see we're already starting to customize and make it a little better. So where it says footer, this is where you can put in any kind of content you want, so you can leave it as equal columns. Now this is if you want a message to show up on the bottom of the pages. We're actually going to leave this where it is right now. Where it says blog, you can choose to put in a bunch of content, a bunch of information here. You can put in anything like it says an end post widget, so you can put in additional content. For colors, you can go ahead and change whatever you want. For the predetermined theme, we're actually going to leave this as boxed. You can set it to dark. If you're using a different theme than we've actually set up, you'll have different options showing here. There's no problem with that. You can set up a primary link or a hover link if you want. And for the portfolio, you can set up any additional options, such as whether you want this 4 columns, 3 columns, 2 columns. It's completely up to you. So now that we've got kind of a bunch of settings set up here, we can click on where it says save changes. Now that we've got that set up, we can move to a couple different places from here. We can start setting up the themes, the posts, the pages. We can start customizing it a little more if we want. So there's a lot of different places to go from. We're going to start by setting up a couple of the options in the background first of all, and just kind of basic options. So we're going to go into the themes one last time. We're going to go to where it says customize. And we can see here we've got this one here. These settings are more of just generalized to WordPress. So you're going to see these a lot with any setting you choose, whether it's any theme or anything else. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to the background image for this one, and we're going to go to where it says no image. I'm going to go to where it says select file. So you can see here we've already got a bunch of pictures. We're going to select this one we've already set up, click on where it says open. Going to take a second here, and we can see it's now put in a picture. You can see it's got the box set up we did before. Got our logo here, it's got a bunch of content. As you can see here, we've got a very nice wedding style picture. We've got the evening sunset, the couple walking on the beach, we've got the little party in the background, so it's definitely a very nice picture. Now you can choose this to do a bunch of settings here. We're going to center this just because we've got actually the bride and groom towards the center of the picture, so it makes a little more sense. We're actually going to keep this fixed because we do want this picture to be here the same size. Now you can choose whether to tile or whether to repeat horizontally. What a tile means is if you have a smaller picture, you will actually go ahead and start showing across a bunch of them if you want. Otherwise, you can then use a larger picture like we've had, and it's going to show up here very nicely. So we're going to go ahead and click on where it's saved to publish, and we can now see that this is saved. We can close this out. Now we can see if we go to this page here, it's changed it a little more. See now we've got the white box, we've got the background picture, and you can see it's now starting to come together a little more than we had it before. So now that we've got that here, we're going to go in and actually start making some posts. So some actual content here. So we're going to go to where it says all posts, and we can see here there is already a default post. We don't need it, we don't want it, so we're just going to select it and trash it instantly. Now that we've done that, we can start setting up our own posts here. So now that we've got our post set up, it's going to ask us first of all what kind of a title we want set up. So we're just going to go ahead in this case and set up for rehearsal. And then you can put in whatever kind of content you want here. We've actually gone ahead and put in a bunch of content already. This is actually just from, like I said, a bunch of demo stuff I was setting up before. You're free to put in whatever kind of content you want. We're mostly just copying, pasting a bunch of stuff we've already put in from the main site. And this is just to give you an idea of what it's going to look like and what kind of a posting is going to look. So now we've got that here, we can go ahead and we can click on where it says publish. You can go ahead and set up any categories you want here. You can set up any edits or anything like that. So it is important to go ahead and modify. Now, this section with the categories is important because if you set up any theme, you're going to have some categories before. In this case, we're just going to set up as uncategorized because we don't have any set up. If you set up a large amount of posts, you definitely do want to set up your own categories so that you can do them. So we're going to go ahead and click on where it says publish here because we're ready to have this go live. And then we're going to go to where it says add new post. We're going to add a second one here. And this one, We're going to set up a bunch of other things like we said. We had before where it was just a rehearsal. This time I'm going to do the guy and gal's night out. And we're going to set this here. As you can see, we had a nice little party in Vegas for ours. It was a lot of fun. I would highly suggest it if you enjoy a little wild adventure out. Otherwise, you're free to put in wherever you want, of course. We're going to set that to uncategorized again and publish that. And now we're going to add another post. Now, for those of you guys who are attending it, this is probably your favorite part of it, which is, of course, the bachelor party. And we're just going to put in some information here. And we're going to select this to uncategorized and then publish this. And we're just going to make one more post, of course, because there is one more thing. The guys get their party, and of course the ladies get theirs as well. So the bachelorette party. And then we're going to go ahead and just put this in as well. And then we're actually just going to update this because, as you can see, I forgot to uncategorize it, so you can easily make any changes, as you can see. So now that we've got a bunch of posts set up, we're just going to take a look on the site, and you can see right now that's got the different posts we've got. So already it's starting to look closer and closer like our page. In this case here, you can see this looks very, very close to the blog page we set up. So it is very easy to set up and very nice to use. And we're getting much, much closer to the one you want. So now what we need to do is we need to set up a bunch of pages. And the pages themselves are going to be the bulk. You can think of these as the ones across the site, like welcome to our wedding site, the story, the blog, the gallery, the RSVP. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go to where it says all pages. We're of course going to trash the sample page we had up there before. Don't need it, we don't want it, so we're going to go to where it says add new. First what we're going to do is we're going to actually set up our blog page first. Now it's going to give you the option to set up a bunch of different options here for the templates, things like that. So we'll leave this just where it is by default, don't need to worry about it. You can see for the page attributes, you can set up templates. Now if you're using different themes than us, you will see different templates show up on the list. In this case here, we're just going to say it's a full width page so that it gets access to everywhere. You can set up orders if you have multiple pages as to which ones come first. So we're just going to leave it where it is and not even worry about it. Now the actual content here, we're going to go ahead and leave on where it says blank, so we're not going to worry about it. And then we're going to go ahead and click on where it says publish. We're then going to go to where it says add new, and I'm going to do another page here. Now for this one here, again, you can see all the pages we're going to be setting up are across tops of gallery, RSVP, and our story. And next we're going to be setting up is the gallery page. For this one here, we're going to be leaving mostly blank as well. So we're just going to be setting up here. So as you can see where it says parent, we can see there's blog set up. Now if you have a parent page, what this means is you're putting it underneath it. You can think of this as like a sub menu. In this case, we're going to leave it as no menu. Now you can set up where it says full page or portfolio. In this case here, we're going to go ahead and select this one to portfolio grid. This is going to be our actual portfolio page, so where you're looking at all the gallery before. So we're going to click on where it says publish. We're going to leave this actual page blank because we've got special settings from our portfolio on our side, so we don't need to worry about it. Now we're going to go ahead to where it says add new, just like before. Now the next page we're going to be setting up is going to be a little different because from what you can see before, we've been setting up a bunch of blank pages. So what we're going to do this time is we're going to be setting up the one for our story. And as we can see here from our actual site, the Our Story page has a bunch of actual content in it. So the first thing we're going to be doing is we're going to be setting up the actual story itself, which as you can see here, we've already got laid out. So we'll just be adding that content back in here. Now you can see there's a bunch of content. Now, the first thing we're going to do is you can see from our page over here, we have an actual picture. So we're just going to quickly put that back up. So we're going to click on where it says add media. I'm going to ask you what you want to do. We're going to select on our files here. As you can see, there's a bunch of files across. So we're going to go to where it says, not cropped images, but this one here. And as you can see, it's the same picture we were just looking at. So we're going to click on where it says open. It's going to take a second to load up. As you can see here, it's going to show you the other two images we already loaded. So WordPress will remember which files you have. You can select on size, different options here. Now that we've got that in here, we're going to click on where it says insert into page. And you can go ahead within WordPress and you can actually move this around to really wherever you want. So you do have the freedom to customize it around a bit. So as you can see here, we can put it in, we can put it more to the side, we can separate it out. So you do have a lot of different functions to it. We're just going to leave it in here for section. You can actually go into descriptions, or you can go into Shopify Kitchen. So you have a lot of different things. You can actually go in and just modify this all here. Go and set it to the side. As you can see here, we can just clearly move it around wherever we want. You can even move it in between things, so it's not a problem. So in this case here, we're just going to go ahead and add this to the bottom here just to keep it simple for you guys. Or actually, we'll just add it to the top. As you can see here. Now, if you want to customize it a bit, if you are familiar with a lot of web page design, you can go into the actual text and choose where it is. In this case, where you can see where it's on the right-hand side, that's what we did. We actually went into the text editor here, made a couple changes so that it appears on the side. Now, this is a little above and beyond what you're going to be setting up for if this is your first time setting it up. So you may want to just select the pages to be at the beginning or the end. We're just going to leave it where it is right now, just to simply show you what it looks like. And so when we publish that, we can now go back to here, and we can see that there's just the issues we want. Now, you're not going to see them just yet appearing across the top because we haven't set up a menu, but WordPress does give you a very nice option. If you ever want to see what a page looks like, you can actually click on where it says View Page up here. It will actually take you into the page, so you can see this is what it looks like right now. You don't need to worry about things on the right-hand side. We'll be removing that, of course, later on, but just to go here, you can click on where it says Edit Page at the back, at the top there, and it will take you back to exactly where we were. So there we go. We've set up a page with some actual content in it. If you ever want to go back to visual, you can go right back there as well. We're now going to go ahead and add another page to it. So that's now a page with a bunch of text in it. Now we're going to add more pages as well. You can see we've got most of the pages we've set up. We've got the blog already set up. We've got our story. Got the gallery. We're definitely going to set up the RSVP page as well. So not to worry, we're going to get them all in there. So the next one we're going to do is we're going to do the RSVP page. Now, the RSVP page is going to look a little strange to some of you. Now, the reason for this actually just requires a little bit of code. And this is a very strange looking code. This is actually gotten straight from our RSVP plugin. If you actually go into the settings, it'll tell you that you need to go ahead and add this code right here. So this is actually all we're going to be putting in here. Very simple, very easy. We just want to click on where it says Publish Page once we're ready. And we're going to go ahead and just leave it as full grid width in this case. And that's kind of our standard one that we're using. So got that in here. We're going to go back to All Pages. And then as you can see here from these ones, you can always go in and edit them if you want. Quick Edit is about the same thing. So we can go in and say change anything, so we can even get rid of the pictures. We can change it. I'm just switching this one out back to the default template that we've been using and away from kind of the default by itself. And then we're going to go back and we can see there's all the pages. We're going to add one more page here, which is just kind of our main page, which is our welcome one. So welcome to our wedding site. And now this one here is a little different. What this does is this is actually using one of our plugins, in this case the slider. So it's going to be going through, and as you can see, it's going to allow us to switch through all the different pages and content that's on here. So what we're going to be doing for this one is we're just going to be adding a little bit of code, which we can see here. Now, we've just grabbed this one here as the default one, which they recommend is the best settings. If you're wondering where I got this code from, this is actually part of that documentation we mentioned earlier. We've actually gone down to it here specifically. It's under where they call short codes. And it's, as you can see, it tells you exactly what each of the options does for it, so that you can easily set it up on the page. You can actually just copy and paste that and add it right into your page easily enough. So once we've got that set up, we're just going to go ahead and we're going to select this to full width page like normal. We've got that there, and then we're going to go ahead and publish this. And I'm just going to wait for that to finish, and we can see now it's published. So now what we've done is we've set up the majority of our pages, the majority of our posts, and we can go ahead and we can start modifying the rest of the content. So we've got a lot of content on the page, but as you can see, going to our main page here, our actual site, not a lot of it's showing yet, and the reason for that is because there's no menus, as you can see across the top. Menus are very, very important to your site, so you do want to make sure they're there. Now the way you can go in and modify them is you can go to where it says Appearance and go into where it says Menus. So once we've gone ahead to there, we can go ahead and make all kinds of changes, and we can set this up however we want. Now right now you can see there's no menu at all there. And that's because WordPress doesn't actually set one up by default. So you can actually call this really whatever you want. I just generally call it just menu in this case, we're going to call it. And then we're going to go to where it says save menu. And then what it does is it does do a nice thing for us. So it's going to say where it says primary menu. We're going to go ahead and click on where it says save here. We're actually just going to change that to lowercase. And just to make it look a little nicer. And then click save menu. And then you can see here the theme locations. We're going to save this as the main menu. So this is going across the top then. For the custom links, we're not going to worry about this just yet because we don't need one. Now for pages, you can actually select which of your pages show up in there. In this case, we want all of our pages to show up in there. So what we're going to do is we're just going to select them. You can of course select all if you have a large number of pages. You can go through them. Then you just want to click on where it says add to menu. Now it shows them up in the list here, and we can go ahead and set them in any one. It's very simple. You can just drag and drop. Now it is very important, as you can see here when you're dragging and dropping, as to where you put them. If you indent them a bit, this actually means it's a sub menu of this one. So if we go to welcome wedding site, it'll be a drop down to show this one. We don't want that in this case, so we want to have it right there. We're then going to set up the blog here, the gallery, and the RSVP. So what you can see from here is very similar to menu to what we have set up here. So we're just going to go ahead and save this menu. And then if we go to the site again, we can now see the menu showing across the top. So you can see we're getting very, very close to what we have set up already. So we've got that, we've got that, we've got that. As you can see here, we have pretty much very similar content. Now you can see right now that the gallery is not set up to show anything and the blog isn't. So we're going to be setting those up a little bit later, so don't worry about that just yet, so not to worry. And then we will be setting up the slider as well for the main website. So we've got basically a lot of it set up already. So we're just going to be going through. And just one thing to point out here is you're going to see that you're set up as a bunch of edit options. These only you see right now because they're actually logged into it, as well as this top bar. This won't be here if you're not logged in. So your visitors won't see this and they won't be able to edit your website. So don't worry about seeing those. So we're going to go back into the edit page. And this is just going to take us back into the options here. So now there's a lot of different things we can go through, because now we've got a lot of content set up and what we want to do. Now what we want to set up at this point is start setting up the pages. I'm going to start playing with a bunch of the options, which you're going to see, which is a bunch of the themes and other things. So we're going to first of all go to where it says settings and then into where it says reading. Now what this does is this allows you to change what the front page is, which is very important. So we're going to go to where it says static page. So the front page we're going to set up is welcome to our website. So this means that it will by default go to our welcome to our website page whenever someone goes to the domain. Now where it says post page, this is where all the posts are going to go. In this case we're going to select blog because that's where we set it up. So we want to click on where it says save changes. Now that we've done that, if we go back into our site, which from here, we're going to be able to see that now by default it's coming to our welcome to our wedding page. If we go to blog, we can now see a whole bunch of the posts showing up, which is very similar to our one here. So you can see very simple, very easy, and now we've got it looking much, much closer to what we want our final project to be. So we're getting very close and we're getting very nicely in there. So now what we can do is we can start setting up a bunch of the content for our specialties. In this case, we've got a portfolio set up and we've also got a slide setup. So we're going to be going in first of all and doing the slide just because I like to set up the slides a little first. But again, you can go into whatever order you want. So the first thing it's going to ask you to do is to add a slide name. You can add it whatever we want. We're going to just call it slide 1 in this case to keep it simple. But you can keep it as something a lot more descriptive, of course. There's no problem with it. And what you want to do here, because we've got a special slide set up, is we just want to add a picture to it. So we're going to add in a special picture. You can see the pictures we already added. We're going to go to upload files. We're going to upload another image. We're going to upload this picture first of all. You can see the little progress bar is updating. We're just going to wait for this to go through and finish. You can see it's now here. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to say insert into post. Now you can see it did get a smaller one here. We're actually going to go ahead and edit the image because we don't want the smaller one. So we're going to go ahead and cancel that. You can also actually blow it up if you see here. So it'll say 100%, so you can make changes to it. You can say even on here, we can even click on where it says original size. So that's just an example of how to get it in there. In this case here, we're going to remove this. I'm going to add the media again. You can see it's already got this here. You can even change the size. What we're going to do is we're going to switch this to the large image that we have. Insert this into post, and we can see we do have a nice larger image here. And then if you want it to be even larger than that, of course, you can go back into the add media, just modify it. We're going to set it to just a full-size picture in this case, make it look really nice. And we can see the full images up there, which looks very nice, very easy to use. You can, of course, go on and modify them however you want. And then if you have different photos, you can go on and modify. You can put more than one photo, of course, on the page. It's going to do it. Now, we're actually going to shrink this down a little bit just to have the larger image, just because it looks a little better off on the picture. As you can see here, you can see it's got different pictures. So we've got a larger one, and you can see you can get multiple different pictures as in here. So we're going to go ahead and we're just going to remove this one, and then we've got this one here. So we're going to go ahead and just publish this the way it is. And then once we publish it, we can go to just our website. You can see it'll now start showing up here. Just going to select this again. And now we need to add a category, which in this case there's none by default. We're just going to set up one called slider. Set it there. And we're going to check mark that, update that. And now that we've done that, refresh the page, and you can see it's a giant one here because we set it a little larger than we wanted, but that's not a problem. We're just trying to show you what it looks like. So now that we've done that, we're going to go in and edit the details here. You see you can change the actual size to something a little better off. We're just going to outright remove it and do it here. Now we're just going through a little more in detail for the first one here and showing you a bunch of different options and way you can set this up. There's no right or wrong way to set this up, and it's completely up to you. You can even go in and delete it or edit it. You can even go in and put in more files as well and just modify them here. Do have a bunch of cropped images, which is actually the one we're going to use in this case. This is one we've actually custom set up so it's the right size to look kind of nicest based on the layout and everything we've done. So we're just going to go ahead and put that in here. As you can see here, nice picture set up. So we're just going to go ahead and update that. And then if we refresh the page, we see a nice little slider. Now you can see right now that's not actually rotating through, and that's actually because we've only got one image. So naturally, if we want to see it look a little better, we need to add a little more. So I'm just going to call this one slide 1, update the name. You can see it's got the little option here. We're going to go to add new, change this one to slide 2. I'm going to add our media again. We're going to select on the files. And in this case, we're going to add this one here. And I'm going to keep this medium option here. You can even go to the full size. There we go. And then you want to make sure you check mark the slider option we set up before. And there we go. So if we refresh the page again now, you can see there's this picture, and then it goes back to the other picture. So it does move very nicely. So now we're just going to set up another 2 so that we've got it very similar to what we originally set it up. So I'm going to call this slide 3. We go to add media, same as before. At this point here, we're just going to kind of go through a little quicker for these ones, just because we've already showed you what we're doing for them. Slider, publish. And I'm going to go to add new. And then one last page here. Go to slide 4, add media, upload, select files, select the last picture we haven't done here yet. Go insert into post. Click on slider, click on publish. Again, you can see how it gets a little repetitive, but at the same time, that's also why it's so simple. Now, if we have it here, we can refresh the page, and we can see now we've got it going through with various images. You can see this is very simple to our actual site. So you can see if we can go through, there's our images. A little different order just because we set them up in different order, but again, you can see it's the same functionality. So we're at this point here, we're very close to what we had before. So we're next of all, we're going to go into the actual portfolio. Now the portfolio, just like the slide section, is a little different to set up. So we're going to start off by going to where it says add new. I'm going to go ahead and type in whatever one we want here. So we're going to go ahead and type in, just for this one, this title says it all. And then what we want to do here is we're actually going to leave all the options pretty much not where they should be. So just everything pretty much the way it starts with. We're going to go down to where it says set featured image, and we're going to choose this one here. that we've already uploaded. For those of you who remember, you just go to where it says upload files, you can select the file. In this case here, we just upload this ourselves, so we're going to go to where it says set featured image, and we can see it's already showing up in the list. So we can go ahead and click on where it says publish when we're ready. And when we now actually go to the page, as you can see here, it's already there, showing up on the list. It says, title says it all, just married. The edit here, again, we mentioned don't worry about this, is just because we're actually logged into it. So when we go over here, we can see it's a fairly similar thing. So if we actually go ahead and log out of our real version here, we're just going to go back to the demo page. And there we go. We can see that by going to our gallery, it's just as it shows here. No anything, no edit option there anymore, and it shows the just married option. So we're going to go through and just make changes to the other ones. So we're going to go to where it says add new item, and we're going to slowly put in all of these here. So banquet, set featured image, we're going to upload another picture, select. And as you can see here, we've got a bunch of them. We can select whichever one you want. We're going to just select this one here. Going to upload it for us, and then we're going to go with set featured image and then publish. Right, and now you can see it's going to add it exactly like it is here. And again, the order just kind of depends on when you put it in. You can of course change it however you want later on. We're just showing you more of how to set it up. We're going to add here pre-wedding 1, set featured image. Upload files, select the file here, select this one, set as the featured image, and there we go. It looks like there's an issue with that, so let's just re-upload it. Select on this one here this time. See it's uploaded. We're going to set it as the featured image, and we can see that they're actually a little off here, so we're going to scale those to size. Open, going to set it up, and we're going to set it as set featured image. Set that one here. Publish. I'm just going to go ahead and select the picture. We're just going to use one of the ones we already set up. Select it from the list here. Just click on where it says set featured image. We can see it shows up there. Of course, remove these and use them as other ones. We're just going to go ahead and click on where it says update. And we can see it's in the list there. And now we're just going to set one more here. And I'm going to say wedding night. Or wedding party in this case. Click on where it says set featured image. And we're just going to grab another one out of here, even though we're just for the most part just reusing them. So we're going to select this one, wait for it to upload all the way, set its featured image, and we can see it showing up there. So as you can see here, we chose to use a couple different images than the ones before, just to kind of show what it was before. But it is very similar formats. You've got the wedding pictures all set up and nicely to go. So now that we've got those there, we can see pretty much we've got just about everything that we had before. These ones here at the bottom are actually just a bunch of widgets and things we set up. With widgets, you have really as much you want to set up with them. There's no real right or wrong way to do it. And it really comes up a lot into what you want. You can set up widgets by going into the appearance here and choosing widgets. You can see there's already a bunch already set up. You can choose different things in the different areas. So there's footer, different columns. So you can put in a bunch of text if you want. You can put in a bunch of columns. The way you can add something here is you simply drag the option and put it in where you want. So for the text here, we're just going to put in where it says, before we were using thanks for visiting. So we're going to put that in for visiting. And then we're going to grab this here off the site. just to show you what it looks like. I'm just going to add that in. I'm just going to click on where it says save. And then if we go to this, we can see it's now there in the same spot. Now we've got that set up. We're just going to do the column B. As you can guess here, this is going to be the middle one. And we're going to go ahead and set up another thing of text. And it's a good idea just to close them back up after you're done with them, just because it can get quite ridiculously big. And for this one here, we're going to go back to our journey. And then just copy and paste all of this. And for this one here, the way we set this up before, even though we're not going to do it really the same way, although it's easy enough to do, is we actually did set these up as links. So it is possible that you can actually click these as links, so that if you click on this, it'll go here. Just to kind of give you an example of what that looks like, go ahead and select a link from the list here. You've got a whole bunch of different options. You can go into custom menus, things like that. You can go to menu, pages. So in this case here, you could select on the option where it says pages, and put this under column B. So you can click on the title of this, you can click on page title, page order, exclude. So this here, very simple to do. You can just whatever page you want. So that's just an example of how you can get a link in there. You're free to really put whatever you want. We're just going to put in the text here quickly. And then we're going to go to where it says save. You can see here we've got this added. Got a bit here. The pages was added as well. We're just going to go ahead and remove that. Now you can see, there we go, it's been removed as well. And then we want to shrink that down once we've finished adding it. And then anytime you have an inactive widget or anything like that, you can simply remove it out of here. We're now going to go to where it says calendar, and shrink it down. We're going to put this under C. Need to open this back up, get that out. And there we go. So the title we're just going to put is Wedding Calendar. Click Save. Go back across. And you can see it's now put in the calendar. So pretty much what we've done is we've set it up exactly as it is on here. We've changed a bit of the pictures around to simplify it, just because we want to make sure that you can see how quick and easy it is to set this up. You can see there's the Our Story section. There's the blog. And it's all in there. So as you can see here, it is actually fairly simple and easy to set this up. It does take a bit of time. We did take more so than if we were just creating it. First time I set this up myself, only took roughly about 20 minutes or less just to go through and set everything up the way I wanted it. So I mean, it's very simple to do if you are well versed in it. It does take a bit of time if you are setting it up for the first time. Now, because this is a wedding and time is probably something you're short of, not to worry. If you don't have the time to do this and you don't have any friends who are able to help you out with this, we do actually have a service at .easy where we help you build websites. So for instance, we can actually help build you your actual wedding site. We can even do above and beyond what we've showed you here. It is just $495 right now. We do have it on special. It's generally much more expensive. And if you're looking for a wedding site, definitely costs are what you want to keep down. And this is an easy alternative if you don't have time to set up the site. If you do want to know more about this, we do have information on our WordPress.easy.com. You can actually see about this here. You can sign up and set up different things. You can see our web design portfolio for additional pages and just examples of different sites we've set up with them. A lot of resources and other things here, so definitely do go through and take a look at them. You can always contact us if you have more information, if you want more information about this. We'd be more than happy to design your site for you for your big day. If you have any questions or comments, don't hesitate to leave them in the comments. You can even contact us at .easy. We'd be more than happy to give you more information. Remember to like us on Facebook and like us on Twitter, and follow us on Twitter, and also just follow along with the video on YouTube. We'll be bringing you more videos as well, so make sure to stick around. Thank you for watching.